You've seen this CPU tower cooler featured in their case, and I'm going to go specifically with a dedicated video just because it makes sense. I mean, this is PureRock 3 LX, and comparing to the original PureRock 3, it has one Lightwings 120mm PWM addressable RGB fan on, well, attached to it, right? And it has TDP up to 190 watts, which is outstanding for a single tower 4-pipe cooler. So what today we're going to talk about is, of course, benchmarks, tutorial on installation part, and just give you a bit of a heads up about this cooler because it performs quite good. It performs quite good, and I'm really satisfied with the minimal design and visual aspect. I think this is quite okay. The interesting part is when you're mounting it for AMD, and this is the quite important thing I do have to say. It has an offset for the mounting brackets and it's -8mm. So I think that's really good because it did make difference in performance. Unfortunately, I didn't test zero offset because I want to have the maximum performance out of the cooler as well as out of the processor. So in those terms, I just wanted to see how it can perform at the best scenario. Of course, this lowers the CPU tower cooler by that amount, and I still didn't find any reason not to do it. So what we have right here, as I stated, PureRock 3LX with dimensions 71 times 124 times 154. So that's quite small cooler, I do have to admit. Weight 574. Compatibility goes really high with Intel 1851 and everything below that up to 115X. Then we have AMD AM5 and AM4. Maximum TDP, as already stated, is 190. And then we have 4 heat pipes with 6mm diameter. Talking about the fan dimensions, this is a regular Lightwings LX120 PWM. So it's 120, 120, 25 with 2000 RPMs at maximum. We're having 5 volts addressable RGB connector that's strip pin going directly to your motherboard or to a controller. It really doesn't matter. Airflow is 61.8 CFM. Then we have air pressure at 2.51 millimeters H2O, 4-pin PWM connection, a lifespan up to 60,000 hours. Now it's full black design with even the fins and everything quite nice. And we have one more interesting thing. Now this cooler has pre-applied thermal paste. I don't know if I've seen lately, I can't say ever, but lately that a CPU tower cooler comes with a pre-applied thermal paste, which is great. But unfortunately, you don't get any additional thermal paste inside the box. If you're deciding to repaste it after some time of period, you don't get it. Okay, so that's unfortunate. But let's discuss the mounting mechanism. So it's really straightforward when we're talking about AMD. Intel is quite similar, but what you have to do is place the backplate with those screws, standoff screws, and you have to use those faux rubber feet to fixate those screws on the backplate. Then you push it through the motherboard, and then you have standoffs, and you just mount the retention brackets with the thumb screws, and after that you're just placing the cooler on those 2 threads. That's it. That's all there is to it. After that you have to place fan with those brackets on the cooler and connect PWM and addressable RGB header towards your motherboard. For the AMD, it's actually quite similar. As I stated, you remove the original retention brackets that come with the motherboard. You place 4 standoffs. On top of those original threads, you place 2 retention brackets and 4 thumb screws, which basically hold the retention brackets. And then again, you're using the CPU cooler, placing it on those 2 threads, tying it up evenly, placing the fan with those brackets original that come with the cooler, logical, and just connecting PWM and addressable RGB header directly to your motherboard or controller if you have something like that. PWM I would definitely recommend placing and connecting directly to the motherboard so it can regulate with that fan curve from BIOS regarding the CPU thermals. As I said at the beginning of the video, you might have seen it already if you watched the Pure Base 501 LX video, and it kind of fits perfectly inside this case, really blends in with the full black design. Now, you can notice that it's lower down because I used the offset and it covers up a small portion of the heatsink of the, well, M.2 SSD original from the motherboard. So that comes in play. If you want performance, in this scenario, you'll have to sacrifice that a bit, but it's nothing drastic. I mean, we're not talking about custom loop that goes with hard tubing and then you have really problems if that comes in play. But this is just an air cooler, so you don't have to worry about that specifically. It's just 1-2 steps extra to get that SSD out. Regarding the connection part, as I said, it's really straightforward. In this case, has a hub, so you can connect the addressable RGB header of the Lightwings LX directly at the back or directly to your motherboard. It's all up to you to decide. Now, the cool thing about everything is the performance, because I didn't expect a 4 heat pipe 6mm diameter cooler to actually have this type of performance. And as I stated in the pure base video, I'm going to mention it again because I have some air coolers that I can compare. I used the 7900 X3D from AMD. So we're having PureRock 3LX cooling down AMD Ryzen 9 7900 X3D. In AIDA 64 system stability test, CPU went up to 92 degrees on average, which is great. And then we have clock speed 4825 MHz, which is really solid. And I think that kind of really places it in a nice position, without a doubt. Now, going into Cinebench, this is where things get really interesting. We have some sort of an average temperature around 85.78 degrees. Clock speed is somewhere between 4975 and 5000, because I think it's, yeah, something like that. And it's quite solid again. But the most interesting part is the Cinebench scores, because we have starting at 26,376 and the high score is 26,502. Yeah, I think that's quite an impressive score for this CPU tower cooler and in general this slim type of design. Full black design, digging it because it fits this chassis particularly quite nice. The Lightwings LX fits, well, basically the Lightwings inside the case, and it's altogether nice roundup when you take into consideration price, performance, TDP. Well, basically installation process is really straightforward. There's no complications, you have to do some specific mounting mechanisms, and you just place your standoffs, retention brackets, thumb screws, and then you place the heatsink. That's all there is to it. I'm really digging it. And for the, let's put it this way, for the type of heatsink that it has, and for the heat pipes, and for the everything altogether, price and everything, definitely PC Crazy approved badge. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. PC Crazy approved badge, because it did perform quite nicely. I'm digging the price tag, I'm digging the design, and I'm digging how small and well, not bulky in general when we have CPU tower coolers. It's quite nice. I do have to admit that. So the link for the BeQuiet PureRock 3LX is in the description below. If you have something like this and you want to pair it up with this tower cooler, you want to go with Pure Base 501LX, I'll put that in the description as well. Maybe power supply. It's all up to you to decide, guys. The links are in the description, and that'll be all for today. Of course, if this kind of shine a light on the PureRock 3LX, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and I'll see you shortly in a new one. Thanks for sticking by, and I'll, of course, see you soon. Bye-bye.